Hello. Hello and welcome back. Um, 1 second now. I just have to get sorted on Instagram. Yes, all good. Great. Okay, we're going to do some meditation. This isn't a class. It's just a chance to meditate together. I do these meditations on Monday, Wednesday and Friday. Now on Wednesday and Friday, we just meditate. But on Monday, I explain what I do, just for the benefit of people who are new to meditation. So if you're an experienced meditator, if you can just hang on while I do that. I haven't done these meditations for 2 weeks because I was doing a live meditation every morning in the local square here. So we're back. We're back today. Okay, so there's lots of different types of meditation. This is what I do. For me, it starts with why I would meditate. I'm trying to connect to a part of me that I can connect to or go to every night when I go to sleep. Not the dreaming bit, the bit after dreaming. So I'm sort of dreaming and then I drop out of dreaming into deep dreamless sleep, where I have no thoughts, no emotions, no feelings, no memories, no personality, no body really, no bed, no bedroom, nothing. I don't even have me. I cease to exist, certainly in the way that I normally register my existence. Which, when you add all that up, that sounds awful. Like, that sounds like death. Yet I love going to sleep, and when I wake up in the morning I feel refreshed. So some part of me knows that wherever I go to, it's a good place, and that's where I want to go to when I meditate. I just want to do it consciously. So straight away, if you're doing this at home, don't try it lying down, because chances are you'll fall asleep, and if you don't fall asleep, you will battle sleep, probably, both of which are kind of counter to what we're trying to do. So as I said, wherever I go, when I'm in that deep dreamless sleep place, my mind can't go there. So because I want to go to that place consciously, it's like a room that I go into that my mind has to wait outside the door of. So it's kind of boring for my mind. So I have to figure out some way of working with my mind so that my mind is on board for the whole thing. Because I don't want to be getting into a fight with my mind, because I'll lose. So what I do is I make an arrangement with my mind. I say, could you just not think for the next 15 minutes because I want to meditate? Now, I've been meditating for many years, so at this stage my mind is on board for the whole thing. It's like, yep, fine, whatever. It's not enthusiastic about it, but it's certainly on board for it. And it's important to have your mind on board, particularly if you want to meditate long term. But I won't get into that too much now. So it's important to know that thinking can happen in meditation, because it's quite easy to get the misconception that, to meditate properly, you shouldn't be thinking at all. Because the next thing after I've got my mind on board is to stop thinking. Now, stopping thinking is relatively easy, because regardless of what I'm thinking about, which would be the content of my thoughts, the structure, it's always the same. It's always pictures and sound. So, and sound, I mean internal dialogue, monitoring, conversations, that sort of thing. So if I turn off the pictures and I turn off the sound, that's it. I'm not thinking. And as soon as I do that, I'm into the practice of meditation. Now, the practice of meditation runs parallel with the intention of meditation. So the intention of my meditation is, as I said, to go to this deep, dreamless, still, calm, peaceful, mysterious, Zen-like. I'm trying to think of all the other words that are used to describe meditation. That place. And the practice of meditation starts as soon as I stop thinking. And it pretty much goes, I'll turn off the pictures, I'll turn off the sound, I'll bring myself to not thinking. Then some time will pass, I'll discover I'm thinking again. I go, oh, thinking again. Turn off the pictures, turn off the sound, bring myself back to not thinking. Then some more time will pass, I'll discover I'm thinking again. I go, oh, thinking again, turn off the pictures, turn off the sound, bring myself back to not thinking. Then some more time will pass, I'll discover I'm thinking again, and so on. It's pretty simple. Every time I discover that I'm thinking, I bring myself back to not thinking. And as I say, it's important to know that thinking can happen during it. And that there's no right amount of times either, you know, that I have to bring myself back from not thinking. It's not, you know, you could meditate in the morning and only have to bring yourself back from thinking, you know, a few times, and then you might meditate in the afternoon. You might have to bring yourself back loads of times, hundreds of times. One is not better than the other. It's not the way it works. Because both of these things are powerful in their own way. The intention is powerful in its own way, and the practice is powerful in its own way. The intention is obviously powerful because whenever you're very still, your nervous system starts to settle, you can feel the changes in your body. It's brilliant. The power side of discovering that you're thinking is not so obvious because there's much more of a space there to start thinking about your thinking. And what are you going to think about? You're going to be like, oh, I'm thinking again. Oh, no, I'm not very good at this. I'm pretty rubbish at meditation and so on. But those are all just more thoughts to be turned off. The power, and it's subtle, but it's very powerful, is if you are like me, the sort of things that you think about will be all to do with you. Meaning, I'll be thinking, what am I going to do about that thing? Why did I say that to that person? Why did that person say that to me? And so on. So if I'm in the middle of meditation and I'm in the middle of one of the, I've started thinking and I'm in the middle of one of those thoughts, and I go, oh, I'm thinking, great, turn off the pictures, turn off the sound, bring myself back to not thinking. If I do that, indirectly what I'm demonstrating or I'm saying to myself is, you know that thought that you were having, the one that you thought was you, well, you just made it disappear. So you're obviously not that thought because you made it disappear. In fact, you're not any of your thoughts. You're something different. That's very powerful. And then the fact that you do that repeatedly is very powerful as well. So the golden rule, if you like, is every time you discover that you're thinking, bring yourself back to not thinking. That's all you have to do. If you do that, you're meditating fantastically. Now, while all that's going on, all that not thinking stuff is going on, I'm also letting go of tension in my body. And I'm doing that by scanning my body from my head down to my feet, back up again, very slowly, very gently. I just keep doing that. And anywhere I find tension, I let it go. And I let it go using my out-breath for two reasons. It's natural to just breathe it away. It's a bit like if you've ever been on the beach when the water, it's not waves, but the water's just coming in and going out very gently. Every time the water goes out, the sand is a bit smoother. The out-breath is a little bit like that. The other reason I use my out-breath or I use my breathing is I want to become a little bit more conscious of my breathing, because it's very easy in meditation to hold your breath or to stop breathing altogether. I know that sounds crazy, but it's very easy to do it. So using the out-breath to let go of tension is great. And then the other thing I do is, as I'm scanning my body, I'm spending a little bit more time, giving a little bit more attention to any structures in my body that go across my body. So mostly my body runs longitudinally, head to toe. Any structures that go across my body act a little bit like a log going across a stream. It picks up all the leaves and the twigs, the branches, anything that's coming down the stream gets stuck in the log. Except in my body, of course, that's tension. So I'm spending a little bit more time on my eyes, my jaw and my tongue, the base of my neck, my shoulder girdle, all my joints, so my elbows, that's not my elbow, my shoulder, my elbow, my wrists, my fingers, joints, finger joints, my heart area, my respiratory diaphragm, all my intestines, my pelvic floor, my hips, my knees, my ankles, and my toes. It's very helpful to have a nice quiet room when you're starting out in meditation, because one of the things that triggers thoughts is sound. So the quieter the room is, the more chance you'll be giving your mind to have less things to think about. And then the other thing I do to help my mind have less things to think about is I set a timer for how long I'm going to meditate for. So I'm going to set my timer for 15 minutes. But if you're new to meditation, I'd encourage you to set yours for shorter. Set it for like 5 minutes and then repeat that 3 times. Because 15 minutes is a long time if you're not used to it. Now these meditations are part of the further emergence work I do, and I'll explain all about further emergence at the end of the meditation. So for now, let's start. So off we go into the mystery. So if you just take a couple of deep breaths, and then when you're ready, open your eyes. So as I said, these meditations are part of the further emergence work I do. Further emergence is to do with growth, inner growth, growth in consciousness, growth in awareness. You could call it spiritual growth, that kind of growth, because your body stops growing pretty much when you become an adult, but you keep growing on the inside. That doesn't stop. That continues on for your whole life. And just like when you were a kid you were going through growth spurts, you might have gone through a period of accelerated growth, which are called growth spurts. They happen on the inside as well. You go through inner growth spurts, and they continue for the rest of your life. Big difference between growth spurts when you were a child and inner growth spurts when you're 50, for example, is when you were a child and you were going through a growth spurt and you went to your parents and said, oh, I've got pains in my legs or whatever it was. Your parents wouldn't have rushed you to hospital. They wouldn't have brought you to the doctor even. They would have just said, oh yeah, they're I know they're a pain, literally, but they'll pass. They're just natural. It's just, you're just going through a growth spurt. It's much harder to know that when you're 50 or 35 or 25. When you're going through an inner growth spurt, it's much harder to know that it's natural and it'll pass. There's a much bigger space to feel like it's not natural, there's something wrong, you're broken in some way, and it's something that doesn't just happen, or you're in trouble. So the overarching support with further emergence is for growth, inner growth, and then particularly when you're going through an inner growth spurt. So there's a few different things. These meditations are part of it, part of the support, because the more you meditate, the more familiar you become with your inner space, your inner landscape. And the more familiar you are with your inner landscape, the easier it is for you to navigate these difficult inner growth spurts. So meditation is brilliant and foundational, really. Then there's retreats. There's retreats every month, and they're longer than these little meditations. We do 3 biggish meditations. So the retreats generally run for about 4 hours. That's what they're running at the moment. And they're a chance to meditate for longer and to ask questions and get feedback and see that you're not on your own with it, because that's one of the difficult things about going through an inner growth spurt. You can feel very alone with it, because almost overnight you can go from everybody gets me, I get everybody, it's all beautiful, to nobody gets me, nobody understands me, I don't really get other people, nobody really understands what I'm talking about. It can feel very isolating. So the retreats are great to kind of go, oh, okay, there are other people who know what I'm talking about. So yeah, there's the retreats. Then there's one-to-one work. I do 2 types of one-to-one work. I do longish kind of sessions, one-to-one sessions, where I work with people who are going through inner growth spurts. It's a combination of talking and then working behind the scenes, where I help their systems remotely to harmonize and balance and go through the process a bit easier, because it can be very personal. When you're going through an inner growth spurt, it can be really personal how that manifests. Some people have very intense kind of physical things go on for them. Other people have different things, let's just say. And I've been through it myself loads of times, and I've helped lots of people through it. So the one-to-one further emergence support is very tailored to the person. But then there's some people who are not interested in consciousness, not interested in spirituality or any of that sort of stuff, but I would like someone to talk to. I would like just some feedback and to get some reflection. So there, I do those shorter sort of sessions as well, and they're loosely under the kind of banner of coaching, life coaching. So there's that as well. There's a podcast, Further Emergence podcast. I've got books as well. There's Further Emergence. I've got 4 books. They're all roughly around the subject of further emergence, just different aspects of it. So there's quite a bit there. I think there's more, but I've forgotten to say it. So, if you've watched the video all the way, if you're still with me on the live stream all the way to the end, then chances are some part of you is gone, yeah, there's something to this. I'd encourage you, or I suggest you just let that part of you tell you what the thing for you is. It might be look at some of the videos on YouTube. That was the thing I forgot to say, YouTube. These meditations go straight to YouTube as well, but there's other videos there. They're kind of extracts from the groups. It might be just do some more meditation, do these meditations. It might be, those one-to-one things sound good, I'm going to get in touch. Or yeah, maybe the life coaching, I just want short answery sort of a thing, or the podcast, or the books, or none of the above. That part of you will know it.